Good afternoon, my name is Mark Dunne and I'm CEO of SaaSAssurance, and we are software to simplify and manage complex standards. We work with the very complex Information Security Standard ISO 27001. We have a software system that helps you project manage and get this standard a lot easier and a lot simpler, and also reduce cost while doing so. We also work with the UK G Cloud, which is the cloud procurement for the UK, and we work with the accreditation for the G Cloud. We work with EU standards, which are coming into play in 2014, and we also have modules for US standards such as NIST and FedRAMP, and we're also working with standards produced by the Cloud Security Alliance. So I was asked to do this presentation at the Computing Data Center Summit and answer the following questions. Can the cloud really be secure? Some questions to ask your cloud provider to ensure the safety of your data, and what tools to use and the steps to take to successfully manage cloud security. So let's look at the first question. Can the cloud really be secure? So in order to do this, we need to consider lots of different aspects. You might ask this question to yourself. Can it be secure? What type of data am I actually uploading to the cloud? Well, the answer is that it really depends on the data, and it depends on a risk assessment that you actually conduct yourself within your own organization. Let's draw a parallel first of all to the airline industry. Every day that people take a flight to and forth as they go about their business, they may not realize it, but they actually take a mini risk assessment with their life. What they look at is, okay, I'm getting onto this chunk of metal, it's taking me up into the sky, and why am I actually trusting this particular organization to take me, from one location to the next with this big chunk of metal that's extremely heavy? Well, the first thing you may look at, or you don't realize you're looking at, you're taking on board, first of all, the reputation of the airline itself, also the country of origin, maybe the airline manufacturer, for instance. The fact that air traffic controllers exist, the fact that pilots exist and the certain quality of pilots exist, and also that the actual the airplane itself has a flight management system, which, believe it or not, a lot of the time when you take a flight, it's actually the flight management system that's actually driving the plane. So let's look at a scenario where, for instance, you may be asked to fly by Bandito Airlines, and you fly into some obscure airport out in the middle of nowhere that looks extremely dangerous. You might think twice about taking that flight because you don't know, first of all, the origin of the airline. You don't know the reputation. You don't know if there is a good pilot on board, even if there's air traffic controllers. So it's safe to say that you might avoid this specific flight. Well, we can draw this parallel to actually uploading your data into the cloud. And from that point of view, I mean, there's always people who actually always will use the cloud for certain things. And I like to describe those type of people in this particular analogy as the John Travolta type, who John Travolta himself is a qualified pilot and he loves to fly. There are certain people as well who won't actually take a flight at all because they've had a bad experience. The person that comes to mind I remember is Dennis Bergkamp, the football player, who basically missed out on lots of European fixtures because he simply would not get on an airplane because he had a bad experience one time. And you can draw the parallel to users of cloud as well. If somebody had a really bad experience with cloud technology, they tend to shy away from it, and that really comes down to the bad experience they had. And then there's the rest of us who simply day to day we can't actually live without the cloud because it's part and parcel of the business that we actually work in. So to answer the first question, can the cloud really be secure? There's only one answer to this, and the answer is yes, it can be, but like the airline scenario, it really depends on what cloud. So what I'd like to do is move on to the next question, and this is really about asking the correct questions to your cloud provider to ensure the safety of your data. So before you do that, you need to establish, first of all, what type of cloud that you're actually looking at. Is it a private cloud? Is it public cloud? Is it a hybrid cloud? Or is it a community cloud? Because if it is a private cloud, for instance, it's going to be you that actually manages the bulk of that cloud infrastructure yourself. So what I recommend people to do is to formulate a full strategy around moving to the cloud, and not just to look at security and privacy, but look at other things such as accountability, financial scenario, also performance and usability, which is quite important of the cloud framework that you're about to embark on, whether that's on a software as a service platform or on a platform as a service. So I'd like to draw some analogy to this as well. I mean, if you're ever doing any DIY at home and you make mistakes, you can be expensive mistakes, and while using the cloud and not getting it right the first time can be quite expensive as well. So what I encourage you to do in looking at this is to measure twice and cut once, to avoid any of those costly mistakes. The first thing that I would always recommend as well is to conduct a thorough risk assessment before moving data into the cloud. And to do that, what you would do is you would follow a methodology that allows you to compile a list of all your assets that you plan to put into the cloud. You can then arrange them in order of business importance. And then once you do that, try to map them to the service models, which I'll talk about in the next slide. And then conduct a risk assessment against the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of that information as it moves to the cloud. And you have to take in, I suppose, a lot of different metrics while you're doing that.